Hello and welcome to Check for Traps. I'm Aaron,
I'm Ruben.
I'm Alec.
and today we're reviewing episode 2 of Star Trek Picard, Maps and Legends.
We are indeed. Yeah, I thought it was a bit on the slow side. Like I was saying before we started recording, make it slow was the tagline I saw, and I thought that was gold. But we were also saying how it answered a lot of plot information, which is probably very important.
Yeah, I felt like I got a bit more around the situation. Like we were complaining about the like the news interview happening in isolation, and it did give us a bit more on that. I thought it was quite nice as well. I really liked the opening scene with I'm not sure if it was the exact opening scene with F8. I thought that was really nicely done. And again, it highlighted something that I think we were talking about in the wake of the first episode, where like the Federation's ideal is not always mirrored by its citizens.
Yeah,
And I think that's really good to show. And I liked that even before this whole Mars attack, these people didn't actually like these synthetics.
yeah. There's clearly they're clearly uncomfortable with the fact that they're unfeeling androids. And the opening scene I thought was quite good. Obviously, it opens with the with the background on the Mars attack and the android uprising. You notice as well, like one of the right at the start of that scene, the shot opens with a ship taking off, and that ship is the exact same ship they use in Nemesis, and they land on that planet and they drop the little doom buggy out of it.
Oh wow!
Oh, Doom Buggy Shuttle.
That's
The
amazing.
Argo, yeah, it's the doom buggy
I did
shuttle.
recognise it. Yeah, I thought I couldn't remember where I saw it. It's like a generic big shuttle.
Yeah,
I did have a question in that if they can program holodeck characters to be essentially normal people, then why are all the robots autistic?
that is exactly the same thing I put down as well. They seem to have regressed in their science, I think.
I mean, Data was always a bit weird as well,
Yeah.
so maybe you can't just upload holodeck brain into robot body.
But I was thinking about this about the Doctor as well. Like the Doctor was an artificial intelligence, and he was like normal and very charming,
Yep.
if slightly abrupt. But yeah, no, that was strange. And again, I wrote it off as like sort of being mass produced maybe, and like they were designed to be workers, so they.
Yeah, I guess if they use them as like essentially slave labor, you don't want them to have feelings.
Yeah. I mean, the Doctor as well is a copy of his creator, isn't he? I don't know. Is that a Data? Is Data and Lawman to be a clone of Noonien Soong's mind as well? Oh, yeah, he's Data-esque in that he's also Brent Spiner, but his mannerisms are different. And I think the difference between the Doctor and Data is like the Doctor is a mental clone of his creator, whereas Data is meant to be like forming new ideas himself and stuff. He's an intelligence rather than a Siri, I guess, is the best example.
Yeah, like a unique individual. Okay,
Yeah.
well, that's good to me. But yeah, again, it was, I liked it because it allowed the scene to be really fun and interesting. Like I liked the joke. I liked his like horrible smile because that's something Data used to do, but like to less of an extent. And that was really nice. And like you said before we started recording, I thought that was the best combat scene in Star Trek because better than anything I saw in Discovery and better than that stupid fucking scene in episode 1 of Picard because it was just very simple. Like he had a very powerful tool. He just shot people with it.
Yeah.
Dead Space them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, Dead Space them, exactly. It was great. Oh, yeah, that combat scene was exactly how they should go. There was a couple of scenes like that in Discovery. Dare I dredge that name up again?
Yeah, I think a lot of the ground combat in Discovery was really good. Can you compare it to older Trek, where everyone stands in the open and slowly beams at each other?
Yeah,
And
totally.
never takes cover.
A couple of scenes in Discovery where people get disintegrated with the Klingon assault rifles, and it really messes them up. And I thought that was pretty cool. And they're similar to this, like it's some kind of mining tool or something, and it just beams straight through them. I thought that was pretty cool.
Another classic Trek thing of security officers just charging into a situation without checking what's going on and getting just wiped out.
Yeah, those two, they really earned their pay that day.
Hey, he's got a gun, let's run towards him.
Yeah, they were living their lives like how we play FPS video games.
Yeah.
Just blindly walk in and get shot immediately.
Well, they fell over each other. The other bodies hadn't fully hit the floor yet before they ran in and died.
This is one of the ones like, oh, by the way, these robots can tear through like titanium or whatever. They're like, we better go engage in hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah, time to use that
That'll
CQC
work.
I've been practicing.
So in that scene as well, we see them get that they're clearly hacked or something, aren't they? And they revolt because you see his eyes go all funny, and all of a sudden he's like activated and activates his the control panel to turn the grid outside of Mars in some kind of weird orbital defense laser or something, and then he shoots everyone, which is pretty cool. But yeah, obviously it's insinuated that the Romulans, we assume, which we later find out to be some kind of shadow government behind the Tal Shiar shadow government spy people.
I enjoyed that. I thought it was going to be really corny when she started explaining it in her repressed Irish accent, but when she I was like, oh, this does kind of line up with what we know about the Romulans, which is that they're ridiculous.
Wait, what are they called?
The Jat Vache.
There you go. I thought that was a silly name.
It was a silly name, yeah.
It was a silly name. It wasn't as good as Tal Shiar, which rolls off the tongue.
It sounds menacing as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I like the idea that the secret police would even be a cover for an even more secret police.
it's like Section 13 all over again. This police is secreter than your secret
Yeah,
police.
exactly.
Yeah.
I can imagine
Our shoulder pads are wider.
I mean, what's quite funny as well is a lot of other reviews I've seen have been about how they were happy that Section 13 weren't like a running thing in this, because everyone's saying, oh yeah, Section 13, they're going to be back, this is what it's going to be about.
I'm banging my Q gavel.
Oh.
Section 31.
Oh,
Ruben.
sorry, Section 31. Sorry, Mr. Q. I've disgraced the population.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a lot of other reviews have been about Section 31 and how everybody expected Section 31 to be a major player in this, but instead they've made a new Section 31, which isn't the same as the other one, but their motives are essentially identical. They're a weird shadow government trying to protect their own government.
Yeah, but they're also like Romulans.
Yeah, but
So
it's
they're
the
quite
same
different.
premise, but Romulan, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to have clandestine kill squads, it's going to be a clandestine kill squad organisation. You can't really get around that.
Yeah, there's
That's
only
true.
so many infrastructures that support clandestine kill squads. I think
It's not going to be like Amazon, is it?
that would be really good if it was a corporation, but sadly Star Trek already sort of wrote out that possibility.
I'm not ready to dismiss the fact that Jeff Bezos has hired clandestine kill squads already.
Definitely.
He's trying to get the ultimate Amazon delivery drone.
He keeps a PMC on retainer. Just for-
Yeah, if you return more than 5 items in a rolling 6-month period, you get silenced.
Oh, they're gonna kill Will real soon.
I feel like this episode did go really heavy on the Romulans are secretive.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
we all
Yeah.
know they are, but like they kept mentioning it quite a lot.
It's a bit
Definitely.
kind
And I think it's Lyman, like one of Picard's little Romulan mates, says you can put secret in front of any part of Romulan culture, which did make me think, like, is there a secret Greg's? Like, is there a clandestine shadowy operation that just gives out state bakes?
I bet
you have
there
to
is,
go
like, a
go behind
baker.
the back door in Greg. So like you have to give stick a little password and they lead you in the back room, and there's just hundreds and hundreds of Riemann slaves just baking.
You thought that Secret Greg's was the most secret Greg's, but no, there is a secreter Greg's.
You go through the back of that Greg's, and it gets even weirder. You don't even want to know what's in that
harbours
Greg's.
the most terrible pastries.
And then that's all run by
Yeah.
the Tal Shiar.
What is that?
Yeah.
That secret bit where they're like, oh, it harbours a terrible secret, also hates robots. Like, what's the secret then?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's like, well, they said there's like a secret, but also it's a conspiracy to repress cybernetics.
Is it going to be something about the Borg?
Oh, I think it definitely is. It's going to be about the Borgs and Simps. That's why they're working on like a giant Borg cube, right?
Do you reckon, like, the Borg are they like the Reapers?
There was a specific saying, wasn't there, where the Romulans were looking for a nest of abominations. So, which was right at the end, but yeah, I think it kind of assumes they're looking for some kind of Borg hive, and the fact they're trying to reactivate them and stuff. Maybe they're trying to find another Unimatrix and destroy it for some reason.
Yeah, or maybe it's something to do with the revitalization of the Romulan species. Do you remember? So I actually went ahead and like went to some forums because I knew there'd be someone who pointed out an episode where the Romulans showed an interest in cybertronics, and lo and behold, there is one. But like, do you remember any explicitly like anti-tech bent in the Romulans across Star Trek?
Well, I guess there's anti-tech and there's anti-artificial life forms.
Anti-AI, yeah.
Yeah, because they're more technologically advanced than a lot of the other races. They like employ cloaking technology and everything, and they clearly have got excellent military technology, but they don't have any artificial intelligence. I don't recall a time when that's ever mentioned before, but then again, it's never mentioned the other way either, is it? So.
Well, exactly. Well, there is apparently an
no
episode
one ever
in
really
TNG.
mentions it.
Sorry, go on.
Like no one ever really mentions it. Like even the Klingons are just like, yeah, Data's cool, and that's it. Like that's the end of it.
Well, there is an episode of TNG where it mentions that there is like a faction of Romulan cyberneticists that are interested in Data, apparently. But obviously, I'm not autistic enough to let that influence my viewing, because that was a throwaway line in an episode of a season.
Does cybernetics do stuff like? Does that mean that they don't have the cool like robot implants that other powers seem to have?
I guess not. I was thinking about that. And do they not have like computer?
Because he says that our computers only do numerical functions, so it's like, can you not watch Netflix on Romulan computers?
Well, is that well? Yeah, that's the thing. What is the ceasing of a numerical function in this in this universe?
Do they not have Siri? Is that like the limit of it?
I've got no idea.
Yeah, 'cause you could really say that the ship's computer is.
Oh no, it is a numerical function in my opinion, but
I was going to say I think it's somewhat of an artificial intelligence.
oh,
like
I see.
it's-
But it's just input. Well, I guess it depends, because it's obviously more advanced than Siri, isn't it? Because like Alexa is just like inputting what you speak into text and googling it.
That's true.
Essentially. But I mean, no. But I guess you could argue that because the computer is clearly more advanced than that, because it can do complex commands seemingly ad hoc.
Yeah, you're right. Though it's just an interface, isn't it? Less of a. It doesn't have
Yeah.
opinions and things.
It's like
which
our
is really
debate
what you
last
would
time about the woman at the
balance
archive.
Yeah.
But you know, again, an interesting query that the show actually isn't interested in answering.
Well, I guess it'd be like, by the way, and here's a Romulan ship, and look, their computer is different, and notice the captain never says computer. I guess that would be very interesting. We'll just have 5 minutes of.
He gets out his old IBM laptop and he's like, activate cloaking device. Send.
Didn't put a backslash in, doesn't work.
You could definitely weave
Ship
it into
explodes.
the show. Like you could, like the writing could be cleverer than that. Like in Battlestar Galactica, they show that the Admiral doesn't like interface, like networked computers. I think that.
That's interesting.
But also, this is episode 2.
Well, no,
Yeah,
yeah, no, indeed.
that's
But
true.
at one point, that
Yeah,
excuse is
they
going to run
probably-
out.
Like, maybe given some time.
I'm just saying again. Like I will gladly acknowledge it when it is raised in a future episode. But it's good to point out now that for now it goes unanswered.
I thought some other things that would be interesting to mention were about how Soji, Daj's twin sister robot clone, nobs the bad guy in episode 2 for seemingly no reason.
Yeah,
I think it's because he's fit.
yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean,
You know,
he is a
it's
good-looking
permissive
fella.
future.
Weirdly enough, so I watched it on Amazon Prime, and on Amazon Prime there's like an overlay where it tells you like what the actor has been, or it shows you a picture of the actor on like their IMDb casting picture, and that guy's casting picture is him holding a human heart, which I thought was pretty metal.
Where he's a Romulan.
He looks like he's been lifted and dropped straight out of the Vampire Diaries or something, doesn't he? But,
yeah, like they were just browsing sort of like an American Horror Story, and they were like, perfect, we found them.
Just wandered
Will
off
do.
the wrong set straight into this one.
On the Borg Cube stuff, I think the new Borg Cube looks really cool.
Yep, agreed.
And I don't know what they've done, but it looks much more threatening just hanging there in space, being like a cube than the original ones did, in my opinion.
It's got like it's something about the texture that for me that does it. Like when they like zoom in or do the pan shots of it, like it looks like way more detailed than the old ones ever did. I really like that.
Yeah, generally the special effects and things now are like second to none in this.
It's just something about how it just kind of hangs there in space. It's like, that's weird.
It's got
That's just a cube. That shouldn't be there.
It's got that Dead Space vibe again, isn't it? In space.
Yeah.
While we're on the Borg Cube, did you guys see this facility has gone 5,800 days without an assimilation?
Yeah.
I did.
Was that written on in chalk
Yeah,
as
Yeah.
well?
I think it must have been.
I mean, someone out there is replicating chalk and blackboards to write funny little messages rather than to.
Some real old school
You know.
Romulan with a boner for 20th century human technology.
Maybe that was written by the head of the Zat Vash for his hate of artificial intelligence and technology. He's a modern day Luddite who only uses chalk and blackboards.
He's created a perfect interface that relies only on chalk. A spaceship
Yep.
that only relies on chalk.
The terrible secret they're defending is that chalk is actually a cybernetic organism. The Borg run on chalk.
That's why Data's skin is such a funny colour, because it's just all chalk.
Full of chalk.
Chalk-based entity. Like instead of carbon, it's like chalk.
Yeah.
I really liked the overly dramatic, like, Romulan, like, security guard.
Yeah, he was great.
He's like, remember, you will encounter drones.
Yeah.
And
If your
run.
light blinks green, run. If you see any, like, he says, like, any equipment or fixture that you did not know to be benign, assume is malignant. Like, look out for the scary light switches. The toilets will assimilate your poo.
It was so ridiculous. Can you imagine starting it's your first day, a new job, someone sticks a fucking button on your jacket and says, if it starts blinking green, run. What kind of introduction is that? Oh my god.
I guess it does kind of sound like the Borg are really dangerous.
Yeah, that scene looked like it reminded me of that time we did an escape room, and the guy was telling us about all the spooky things in the escape room, and then there was the sign on the wall about how many days it's been since an assimilation. Yeah.
I would like a Star Trek escape room. Just throwing that out there.
Oh man, I'd be well up for that.
I thought there was really unclear to me how they recruit for this project. Like, they said something about the Romulan Free State, like signing off clearance. And I was like, is this a widely known project then? Or is it, I guess it's secretive because everything in Romulan society is secretive, but how do regular humans sign up for this project?
Yeah, and the chick that's on board, who by the way, is she a Trill?
Yeah, she's from the Trill Institute.
Okay.
She hasn't got the dots, so either she's not joined, or she's maybe they've retconned the dots. Maybe they don't have dots anymore. I don't know.
Well, the dots being on Dax were a retcon originally, weren't they? Because the Trill before were like a ridge-headed Bajoran-like people, and then
we retconned a retcon.
Yeah, the retcons are retconned again, possibly. So the reason why Dax has dots in Deep Space Nine is because the actress who played Dax was a very attractive woman, and dots made her look sexy. That was the only reason. They just thought it looked good.
Fair man. Well, it's like they've retconned the Romulans back to how they were in the original one.
Yeah, I thought they looked odd.
Because they gave them ridges in Next Generation, and then Deep Space Nine they had like lesser ridges, and now they're back to looking how they looked like in the original series, which is just pointy ears.
Just elves.
But then some of them have ridges.
They go through phases of becoming greener and less green, and then more green again.
Yeah, and
and now they're back to being less green again.
They're different colours all the time. Like, there's like one particular TNG episode where like they look like they was wearing like grease paint. Like, ridiculous.
Being Romulan is a spectrum, I think, in this universe.
Yeah, maybe it's like depending on where you come from. Romulus is how pronounced your ridges are. Because the lady doing the surgery on the Borg, she's got really thick ridges.
Yeah, she's ridgy. She's a ridgy gal.
She's ridgy as hell. But then like the hot one has very few ridges.
That is true.
And Picard's mates have basically no ridges at all.
Speaking of Picard's mates, Aaron, you mentioned earlier on about how she was hiding her accent. Yeah. I'm pretty certain at one point she said cheeky feckers. All semblance of immersion at that point just went.
I do agree. But that whole like CSI Picard scene was pretty lackluster.
Yeah.
I did like how long they spent on just discussing different ways of data storage.
Yeah, that was really, again, like just some weird distribution of scenes in this one.
They've changed all the file names.
Yeah, she's like
to the same thing.
It was like a solid minute of just Picard again, like Patrick Stewart pretending to look at a screen.
Yeah, it was a bit odd. The things they were discussing as well just sounded so ridiculous. It was one step away from he's changed the file the extension on this zip to .old, and now I can't open it. What chaos is this?
They deleted the Acrobat reader. These PDFs are inaccessible.
I need to download Open Office.
Unfortunately, this was closed without saving properly, so it's lost forever. Yeah, no, that was a strange scene.
I mean, I quite like the bit where Picard says, that your Romulan techniques are like shitty and illegal. And the Romulan's like, we wanted you to think they don't work. So, Romulans.
Yeah, once again, that's the thing. It was such a big emphasis on, Romulans are a sneaky bunch, aren't they?
Yeah.
And they in that scene as well, that's where they use the device that somehow unravels time and creates a reconstruction of an event that happened.
It was forensic molecular reconstruction or something.
What a crock of piss.
But the molecules had been scrubbed, so they couldn't reconstruct it all.
They filled it with some radiation.
His fucking mates, Secret Service mates, yeah. So yeah, the fact that they are both apparently members of a secret police, though I guess a junior secret police to the actual secret police is pretty weird, right?
Oh, they're retired, aren't they?
Oh, yeah, no, they are, but that's what I mean. Like, it's kind of strange at all that I just thought they were like refugee housekeepers, but I guess they are members of.
Oh, are they ex-Tal Shiar spies?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's how he met them, I think.
And so is his.
Oh
so
my
is
God,
the
I think I
males.
must have missed that. That's god awful.
I think they mention it a couple of times, and it's also in all the comics.
Oh
yeah,
yes.
the short tracks.
Speaking of the so like, and also I think his father and mother were as well, because she like pars his parents, who are also Tal Shiar, or like talking about the Tal Shiar, and yeah, no, they were just very strange. I mean, again, I'm not going to be like really nitpicky, but I mean, do Starfleet know that they are Romulan secret policemen? Are they okay with that? Does anyone care? Because people seem to care about Picard in Starfleet still, which is good. I like those scenes with like the Commodore and stuff. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, fake Helen Mirren going off at him, and then she speaks to what I'm assuming is the head of Starfleet Intelligence, the Vulcan Admiral, and then it turns out she's actually a Romulan, probably in disguise.
Court of Q, Commodore.
I said Commodore. Oh, Ruben didn't say Commodore. Hooray!
Ruben said Admiral.
I wasn't at fault.
Court of Q.
Yeah, no, that was like I said, that stuff was good. I thought that nearly every bit with Soji was pretty terrible. Except the bit where the Romulan guy was doing like the BP light stuff. That was fucking hilarious. Well, the other ones. Oh, I loved it. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but there's like a bit where she's denying his request for a ship, and it like edits to him on the escalator when she says no, and it's just him looking really sad on the escalator.
Really grumpy.
Yeah, that was the funniest fucking thing. I don't know why.
Like a little grumpy cat face as he gets manoeuvred down the escalator. Like,
so
but I wanted a bloody ship, number one.
I
I'm
can't
very,
believe
very
I asked for a
disappointed.
ship and they didn't give it to me.
I mean, to be fair, he just basically turns up out of nowhere just after going on the news calling Starfleet a bunch of cunts.
Would you give him a ship? I
And
fucking
then goes-
wouldn't. What an arsehole.
Give me a spaceship.
Yeah, right.
I'm
It would be like
investigating.
someone.
If you don't, you'll die.
It would be like someone who used to work for you, rocking up to your office and asking for an enormous favour. Like, making it work out anymore, man. Go away.
Wait, can I have a spaceship and like crew and stuff? No. Oh, well, I thought that would work.
I guess there's no harm in trying, right?
Yeah, no, I thought he was weirdly annoyed that they weren't willing to give him that.
Something that really
I do like the new uniforms though. I think they're cool.
Agreed.
I think they somehow look futuristic-y despite it all being in the future.
That's one thing I liked. I like that we got a date that we're at now. Is it like 2399 or something? I thought that was, and I liked. Yeah, it felt very. It felt more in the canon now. Like especially compared to like the recent offerings of Star Trek, it felt very very firm. I felt like it was actually expanding on something. I'm really interested to see where it goes.
something that really griped me about the scene with the Commodore actually was the way that they all speak to each other, except for Picard, who I feel like just speaks like a normal human being, more or less. Everybody else speaks in like idioms and like we gotta get out of here, that kind of stuff. Like, all their dialogue is really schlocky, and Picard's is like the only normal. And it was like that in episode 1 as well. I thought it's really strangely written. I think.
Yeah, I agree.
It feels like all the other characters, like you said last time, are just from Riverdale.
Yeah, like the way that like Soji and Zarek speak is just completely ridiculous. Like like you said, it's hard to believe they're in the same show as Patrick Stewart's lines, because they're just like the most cliche sort of like sexual tension teen drama shit imaginable.
Yeah.
And then they walk out of that bedroom and onto like a Borg cube Romulan thing, and then that feels really Star Trek-y again. And I'm like, oh, this is weird.
Speaking of Patrick Stewart lines, I really liked his old man hello when he goes up to the desk at stuff.
Yeah,
headquarters.
I love that.
Just like hello.
I love that he forgets to
I'm
give
an
his
old
name as
man.
well. He's like, oh yes, that's important.
He just walked up and they're like, oh my god, it's you. Have a ship. Have 5 ships.
Also,
Oh my god.
also big props for dropping the Gorn hegemony in that episode. Woo, they're still around.
Hell yeah, they're gone.
Somehow survived into nearly the 25th century.
Never show them on screen again.
Yeah, definitely not.
Maybe that's the terrible secret. Maybe the Gorn are Borg.
Maybe the Gorn are behind it all.
Dun.
Maybe they're the secret police in Romulan society.
Secretly, Romulans are dinosaurs.
Also, I like the celebration of First Contact Day again. Yeah, a bunch of nice little things. Oh shit, we need to. Speaking of the fucking Romulan secret police, we got triple name drop of old TNG characters. Whoa!
He should have started, just kept listing TNG characters for the rest of the
That would
thing
have been
to make
amazing.
people
Like
happy.
if he'd gone like 7 or 8 in. Like
Barclay, Wesley,
Brian.
Tasha Yar, she's dead. Oh, the other one.
But yeah, no, that was fun. That was fun and fine.
Go get Deanna Troy, she'll help.
Oh, she's gotten British. It's awful.
Fucking hell, John Luke. Oh, blimey.
Oh, really nice.
Poor Marina.
Oh, sorry.
I wonder what point Marina Sirtis just went, I'm just going to use my own accent now.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, okay.
Just stop caring.
Do
I
you
think
think
they know at
they're
that
gonna do
point, like, if they want to get all these old actors back in it again, that they can't get anybody else, so she can do what she likes, really. She's got all the balls in her court.
I think that's why Jerry Ryan in the trailers for it, it's like 7 of 9 now speaks like a cowboy.
Definitely.
Do you think he said LaForge funny? Or was that just me?
He
Yeah,
said
he
it
did.
LaForge. Yeah.
LaForge.
Which I quite liked.
That's, a,
That's quite cool.
this is how Romulans speak.
Jordi LaForge.
LaForge. It'd be good if they do bring him back and they've retconned him so he's got the visor again.
Oh, yeah, because he's had his eyes
I bet
fixed, isn't he?
New eyes.
I bet they would, just because, or I bet he would start with it on and then take it off or something. Be like reliving old times, just to remind people who the fuck he was.
It turned into a VR headset.
No, yeah. Also, I liked a
I've-
really weird
yeah.
line of dialogue that was quite good. Is I liked when one of the, I think it was the Commodore, called him the Hermit of Labar. I thought that was very nice.
I don't know if they know where he is. And it's like, I'll just put him in his vineyard with his weird Romulans. Leave him alone.
Yeah, shit.
Yeah, they-
Because they're doddering around, being grumpy.
Maybe they know that they're secret police, and he's just like, oh, who cares? It makes him think something's interesting is going on.
Yeah, well, I mean, he says that in episode 1 they go like, "Oh, you need this much security to even get here." So I think they know. They just don't really care.
Yeah, I
They,
guess
they
so.
really gave him a lot of shit for being a doddery old kid, didn't they? The quote I've written down was,
Yeah.
she said that they were the pitiable delusions of a once great man desperate to matter. Like, what a kick in the balls that is.
Ooh, savage.
Yeah.
No wonder he looked grumpy on that escalator.
Yeah,
You couldn't-
I
you couldn't
was
think of
grumpy just
anything.
watching it. I was like, oh, don't talk to my Picard that way.
Oh, I got a weird sort of again, this is like going back earlier into the episode, but you know when they're doing the CSI Picard scan of the flat,
Yeah.
there's a bit they're like the end, the combination of that scene is that they discover that she's not on Earth, and they're both really surprised by this, but like
They're
surely
interstellar travelers.
Yeah.
Surely
Yeah.
no one's on Earth at any point. They could be anywhere. That's the
surely
whole
surely
thing.
it would be more alarming if they were both on Earth. It would be like if both people, but you know, the person you were looking for happened to be in Bristol or London or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
But I guess also like Picard's really old, so he's like, "Oh no."
Oh, I see. You reckon he was annoyed?
Oh. Yeah, he's like, I've got so
Oh,
far.
bloody hell! I've got
And
to
then
get
also
a
again,
ship.
means like he can't get off world. So that's also because I was thinking
Yeah.
that, and then they're like, "Oh, he can't even leave Earth because no one trusts him."
I guess you're right. That would have been
I mean-
funnier if he's like, "Oh, balls."
Oh balls! Though, surely he'd be able to get a ship off somebody else, which he probably will.
Just
do.
buy
I
a
think his
ship.
initial thought was, "I'll just go and ask for one."
But you can't buy a ship because there's no money anymore, right?
He can but surely he owns a
I mean-
vineyard. Someone's buying wine from him.
I don't know how it works either, Aaron.
You know, Ben Sisko's dad runs a restaurant in New Orleans. Like, how does that work with no money?
You just go in when you're hungry, I guess. Just sit down.
Yeah, but like, where did you get the stuff from?
People who are
Because
just
it's not replicated. He's very specific that he doesn't replicate his food. He doesn't trust it.
some people are
Like-
just very happy to mass produce gumbo ingredients for complete
Who, yeah,
strangers.
who wants to be a waiter for no money?
I'll tell you what, I would read a like 400-page book on how the Star Trek economy functions, but I know it
Yeah,
doesn't
it's
exist.
fascinating.
Because in this, they've got solar panels on the Golden Gate Bridge. Yeah, cool, future. But they've got antimatter like generators. Why do you need solar power as well?
Yeah.
Very true.
Like, I love Star Trek, but if you start to nitpick the technology apart,
Yeah.
it's just not worth
Yeah,
it. It's
they
driving me
basically solved the energy crisis 400 years ago. So does it really need to be resolved with solar panels?
mad. Like, 'cause I was thinking about this, like, boarding parties don't make sense. Because if you can beam people onto a ship,
Yep.
you could just beam the other people off.
Agreed.
So why bother doing a boarding action at all? Just beam them into space.
Yeah.
Well, there was that whole thing. I think they do it a couple times as well. Like teleporting bombs onto a ship is another completely valid maneuver.
Yeah, Voyager beams torpedoes onto ships occasionally, like to try and disable them. There's an episode of Deep Space Nine where Kira and Dukat beam onto a Klingon ship, beam all the Klingons off onto their old ship, and then blow it up.
That seems
like,
hardcore.
Such a dickhead move.
I feel like beaming people into space should really be a tactic that's used more often. Like, as soon as the shields are down, while you're firing the phasers, the transporter guy could just be,
jamming at the...
Yeah.
Well, because you've got to lower your shields to transport as well. So this becomes a ship with just some phasers, and it's just full of transporter rooms.
It's gonna be
just beam
the entire crew from their ship just in front of their ship into open space, so they all suffocate.
Or just into the wall or something, slightly to the left. There you go, and now you're in 2 bits.
This is the exact permutation of the argument in Star Wars of why don't they turn off each other's lightsabers with the Force?
Well, that's because they're always using the Force to maintain control over their lightsabers to keep them on.
But it's the same sort of thing with this one. It's like, no, but they've got the shields up to... It's just like this like ridiculous finicky bullshit that I love.
Yeah, exactly. It's clearly some crap that they never thought of, and now they have to find a bad excuse as to why.
Like, we want teleporters because we have a single teleportation effect that we're going to milk for the entire of the 60s.
This episode does have the big scary reveal, though, that not only are the Rommies up to no good on Earth, but they're up to no good on Earth with Starfleet sort of knowledge or blessing or whatever.
Yeah, that was interesting. With I that character, while introduced at the end, was really, really intriguing.
What, Rizzo? A really underwhelming name.
Yeah,
her name.
Rizzo's the
rat,
chick. She's the pink lady from Greece.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
That's mad. I didn't realise that was her name. That is
Lieutenant Rizzo.
Lieutenant
Rizzo.
And it's Rizzo the rat from the Muppets.
Yeah, Rizzo the rat from the Muppets.
Maybe that's why. Maybe she's a dirty fucking Romulan rat.
Oh, that's what it is. Like, the Earth is... Like, the robot was Fate, and she's Rizzo because she's a rat, because she's a spy.
That would be amazing.
Yeah. It's like, somewhere on the writing team is an 11-year-old.
Also, was that
putting this stuff in?
The Commodore was called O, I think, and that made it really confusing because I wasn't sure.
I think it's because she's Asian and her surname is OH, and I only know that because I'm one of those creepy weirdos who watches everything with the subtitles on, and her name came up OH.
I've always wondered why Star Trek has started, like, just... I don't know, it's probably not a deliberate thing, but I felt like they have started making a lot of the Vulcans and Romulan stuff a bit sort of East Asian.
Yeah, I agree.
When really they should be German.
Okay.
Because they're very efficient and logical.
Yeah.
They don't get humour, and their evil half is a really like totalitarian surveillance state.
It should be
like
modern day
Stasi.
Germany.
It's a compelling argument. I would quite
Vulcans
like a German
and
Vulcan.
Romulans should be German.
I'm intrigued, not gonna lie.
They're the space Germans.
I mean, personally, I think they should be like the Trade Federation from Star Wars. They should they should all walk around in long flowing robes with little crowns.
Yeah, I mean, the Rommies being in control, not control, being cahoots, does at least answer the question, why did no one care that there was a giant explosion on the rooftop of a Starfleet building?
Yeah.
And the answer is, because Starfleet just pretended it didn't happen.
Well, I like that they edited out the Romulans and the girl, but so the footage is now just Picard gets blown up across a rooftop.
Well, you know with that, like, because he's reviewing the security footage in their office, and it's just him walking about. So it's like it's just been completely faked.
No.
And then the Commodore points at like a railing, and she's like, "Is that blaster fire reflected on that hand railing?" And Lieutenant Rat is like, "No, looks fine to me.
Lieutenant Rat.
We did good work here."
I assumed that Rat and O were Romulans, that they'd been surgically altered to resemble humans. They'd infiltrated the
Rat
Starfleet
definitely
intelligence.
is. I don't know
Rat
about
is a
O.
Romulan. O is, I think, O is just a Vulcan
Okay.
or
So-
a Romulan because they
yeah,
can't tell them
exactly.
apart.
Yeah, I thought they were both meant to be like Romulan subversive
Which is-
spies.
in the cube, Lieutenant Rat says Commodore O is on our side and we don't want her to turn on us, which implies that
Okay.
she's not.
According
yeah.
to Memory Alpha, is a female Romulan posing as a Vulcan.
Oh, that's giving that away. Where have they got that from?
Comic or something. Everything's from a comic. Oh, speaking of which, that character at the end that he gives a bottle of like wine or whiskey to or whatever is
God, I fucking hated that scene.
is also from a comic apparently. I did some
Picard
research
Countdown?
before we went
Oh,
on.
it's bloody tripe, wasn't it? That who abandons
wine?
their morals for a bottle of wine?
I mean, it's not
alcoholic.
really morals. It's go away, and then he's like, "I brought the good shit," and she's like,
she
"Yeah,
literally had a gun pointed at his back, and then she's like, "Oh, actually," he doesn't ever offer the wine. He's like, she notices,
That's why he
"Oh,
brings
he's
it.
brought a bottle of wine. In that case, come right in."
bring a gift."
But let's say Alec showed up at my apartment, and I was, I wasn't expecting visitors, so I had my shotgun in my hand, pointing at you, and then you're like, "Oh, don't worry, I brought you a tin of Morrison's Special Brew." I'm like, "Oh, in that case."
Yeah, but I wouldn't
you
bring
get-
that to you because I'd turn around and in my hand would be some ridiculously rare magic card,
Oh,
and you'd be like, "Oh, actually, come in."
That would have been a very
Well,
characterizing moment for her if he had a magic card in his hand. And
Yeah.
she lowered the shotgun for that. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to her. I'm sure she's going to be part of this wacky crew that we're compiling.
But I even like how she has like glass of water and she's like, "Whoop, yeet!" It's like time for wine.
Yeah.
And it's like a pint glass as well. Like she's gonna get messy.
And she lives in the desert as well. Like
Yeah.
she probably had to, use some technological fancy pants to get that glass of water. And
Replicator.
just throwing it away. Wasteful.
I thought that the fact that taxis are still yellow in the future is quite funny.
Yeah, definitely, straight up. But like just any like broad shot of of any like population area always like raises loads of questions.
Yeah. The whole transport system is completely incomprehensible to me because they have transport technology and they clearly are moving around all over the place rapidly because of that. What was the doctor's name from the Daystrom Institute, Aaron?
Agnes Gerate.
Yeah, Gerate. So Gerate travels from the Daystrom Institute, which we know now to be in Osaka in Japan, to France. She obviously would either have had to get there by some kind of shuttle or by a transporter, yet everyone still has taxis and is driving around like it's nobody's business, so wouldn't you just transport everywhere?
Well, maybe I guess like if you're taking bags with you, you don't want to carry them to a transporter. You're like, "Oh fuck this, let's get a taxi." Or maybe it's like credits, like you can only get transport so many times a day or something, or a week.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
you're encouraged to take short trips via a taxi. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah, your Federation allotted number of transports.
It's like a
'Cause it's
campaign,
mentioned,
like cycle to work. It's like take the taxi. We've solved climate change, so it's no real issue.
Because it's kind of mentioned in like one of the Deep Space Nine episodes that like there are a thing called transporter credits.
Oh,
So
There you
maybe
go.
it's like you get so many transporters a week or whatever.
That sounds an awful lot like money.
I mean, it's not money. It's like
think
you
it's
did
just-
this much work, you get this resources, so it's communism.
It's
I
a-
did this much work today, I get this much salary.
I think it's a state allotment, I believe.
Suspicious. So
It's
very
welfare,
suspicious.
Ruben. It's welfare.
I can't believe the commies won. Now the
But, like,
Romulans need to take over and disband the Federation.
The transport stuff on Earth has always been weird.
I love
Like
it.
whenever there's like a Star Trek film movie and it's like, oh, there's only one ship in orbit and it's the Enterprise. Like, really?
Oh yeah, around the central hub world of the
Yeah,
Federation.
really?
Yeah, I love
Like
that.
that Deep Space Nine episode where they go back to Earth because of the changelings and they blow up the power grid. It's like, oh, we can transport around because we contacted our one ship in orbit. It's like, are you shitting me? Why is there only one ship? Like, what's going on?
If you think in Earth right now, where we have basically the spatial the space technology of primates essentially in the grand scheme of things, we have a space station in orbit right now, and we have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of satellites, loads of them. Yeah, they have one thing. There's like bits of space debris everywhere and stuff.
I mean, I don't think many of our satellites can teleport you.
No, but you see the point. It's like if there's only one thing in orbit around Earth right now, and it's the USS Enterprise. That's a step back because we already have more than that now.
But again, that's clearly just like lazy writers on that one episode.
Yeah.
They're like, no one else can help us. Like,
I guess it wouldn't make for good television if the if the Enterprise had to wait in a queue while shitloads of other transport ships were like let in to the big old
Yeah.
atmosphere gate or whatever.
Earth should be a fortress planet, though, or specifically like the solar system should be a fortress-like system at this point. Like the amount of times that it's come under threat is ridiculous. So I guess moving forward, what are you guys interested in? What are you looking forward to? What questions do you want answered?
Morgs.
Yeah, I want to see some Borgs.
Definitely.
Morgs, more Borgs, Morgs.
I liked our Nameless Species Borg. I thought that was kind of cool. I liked that. That was a nice little scene.
Yeah, it kind of buys into the fact that like the Borg come from miles away, and we've got no idea who half these people are.
Yeah, exactly. Like like what we know them as is like species 8279 or something. It's like brilliant.
I've got a prediction as well for the very end of the
prediction
of the series, which will be or of the program in general, which will be that Picard will sacrifice himself to obliterate a Borgie in the Matrix as some kind of big bomb, probably.
That's fair. Well, I mean,
because he's got the brain disease.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
He's now Walter White style. He has what we're assuming to be what's it called? Is it Irumodic syndrome?
Yeah,
that he gets.
That's what he had in the end of TNG, but we don't know.
Yeah, and Crusher's like, oh, it's going to pop up again at some point. You better watch out for that. You're never going to get away from it. I think it's like, obviously they don't say it, but I'm pretty sure that's what it's meant to be in this one. So now he's got his reason to sacrifice himself nobly. I think that's what's going to happen. Blow himself up, kill some Borg.
Well, we've got a season 2 of Picard confirmed, so we might have a bit more of Jean-Luc before we're done. But yeah, no, I think that's a fair prediction.
Bruce Maddox does another robot clone, but they're both Picard now.
That would be amazing. Then we can have Patrick Stewart acting till he's dead.
So you know how he's like Alien and Aliens? So he's Star Trek Picard and Star Trek Picards.
Brilliant.
And
what if it turns out
driving doom buggies around?
Yeah, what if it turns out this whole time that the Picard thinks he's human, but he isn't, and he's also a Dash-like android? That would be an excellent twist.
That would be. That might be too smart for them. I don't know.
He's already died of Irumodic syndrome, and they've replaced him with a clone.
Shit, and that's why he's being monitored by Romulan secret police.
Yeah. Every time he goes in for a medical scan, it's really a Tal Shiar spy scanning him, doing his firmware updates and stuff.
I did like that that little reference to Stargazer. I remember like references to Picard's time of Stargazer in TNG. It's nice that he had his little doctor friend from back then.
Yeah, old chums.
Yeah, exactly. Any scene of Picard looking quite wistful is plus for me.
Well, something else I thought was quite interesting as well. So last time we discussed how the Federation have taken some really bizarre political steps, and they've become a lot more totalitarian and a lot more, I guess, racist, for lack of a better word. But they mention how 14 other nations in the Federation said they wanted the Romulans to leave, or they would leave, which made me kind of think, well, if the Federation would have completely fallen apart without those 14 nations and they just kept the Romulans in, maybe that would be a bit weird. But then again, maybe they try and find some kind of common ground and negotiate.
I thought that was a really
want them to help the Romulans, because their guys are like, mate, they're the Romulans.
Yeah, I thought it was a really nice piece of dialogue. I thought it really helped explain where the Federation was at. I was slightly confused because it was like 14, and then they said we're responsible for thousands of species, and I was like, yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. Does that is that not an argument against the 14? I guess it depends how if it's like
if it's 14 of thousands, then I guess it's we need to know the numbers, wouldn't we? Really, to
but responsible for doesn't they might not all technically be
members.
No, I know, yeah. I know definitely.
I guess like those 14 could encompass like multiple species, like Brexit or whatever.
Yeah, no, yeah, it was just it was interesting. I liked it a lot though as a line. And again, those 14 could be huge. Like it could be like like the Vulcans, like
Vulcans,
people as large as like I don't know, or like what are the other founding members, like the Tellarites and the Andorians and stuff like that.
I haven't seen the Klingons in this. Klingons, they're probably not. But do you think they'll turn up? Do you reckon they'll bother? Do
we have Klingon fatigue from Discovery? I think we might have Klingon fatigue. I think it's. I'd like the Romulan. I'm enjoying all this Romulan stuff. I let's keep at it. I think. I don't want any Klingons for now. Maybe Worf, but I don't think Michael Dorn's probably showing up for this one.
Not for 4 hours in makeup or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Because he would only be on for roughly as long as Data was on.
I really hope we do see more Klingons. I'm a big fan of a Klingon. I feel like they're probably the best of the races, I think. Personally.
I mean, they can be, but sometimes then, like, when they're done properly, like when they're kind of like jovial space pirates, they're great.
Yeah.
Like when they're just kind of done like rampaging barbarians, they're kind of dull.
My favourite Klingons are the
glory.
I like the mysterious, gloomy council chamber Klingons who sit in enormous chairs and dictate things.
Oh, they're big like Klingon scarves on.
Yeah. When they get like super ritually and spooky booky, they're my Klingons.
But yeah, I think we've seen the reason everyone loves the Klingons, and again I do as well, is just because we spent so much time with them, and I feel like we could always spend like comparatively less time with face-to-face Romulans. Like we've had loads of like Romulan battles, but I would quite like some more Romulan society, and especially like post destruction of Romulus. I think that's interesting ground to explore. I look forward to seeing what the Romulan Free State is and stuff like that.
I hope they show a warbird at some point. They probably won't.
I hope they will. I reckon they will.
But
they'll bust the warbird out, right?
Surely. I think you've seen that they've got one of the old, really old ones in it.
Ooh.
Like the really original warbirds with the silly paint job on them.
Do we know, just as a closing sort of like thing, do we know if 7 of 9 is going to be like a cameo, or is she a character in this show? Because we're 2 episodes in and she's not rocked up.
We haven't seen loads of stuff from the trailer, which I guess makes sense. But like, there's ninja Romulan we haven't seen.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
Yeah, Riker as well, so we need to be in it, but not.
Yeah,
yet.
but Riker has to be in it before he leaves Earth, presumably. So I guess that has to kind of be soon or at the very end.
Yeah, or maybe he turns up like in next episode. I mean, like, ho ho, Jean-Luc, you want a ship? I've got a ship.
Oh, that'd be amazing if he's just been.
Yeah, that'd be good.
He's like, as there's no money, I had to steal the ship, but I
had to use the old Riker charm.
It's just a cutscene of him like doing like the chair walk onto the the chair of the ship and driving off.
Number 1, how many women did you knob to get this ship?
The dog starts barking. No, not you, number 1. I wonder how annoyed you'd be if you go and see your old friend and he's named the dog after you, but not your actual name.
He could have called his dog Bill, couldn't he?
Yeah.
You could have called him Riker.
Yeah, Bill, Riker, William, anything.
Oh.
Naming after Thomas Riker, the weird transporter
yes!
plane.
Oh, I love Thomas Riker.
But I'm assuming that there's been a lot of number 1s in Picard's time before and probably after Will Riker.
Well, he's getting old, so his prostate's probably a bit enlarged, so he's probably taking more number 1s than he used to.
Oh,
oh you're on to joke.
I like it.
Well, I don't know, because he grows. Because is the Enterprise's first command? It is, right?
I think it is. So maybe he is the first and only number 1.
What, will his first command is in Picard's first command?
Yeah.
Was he not captain on the Stargazer?
But apparently, he was the commanding officer for 22 years, according to...
I'm on Memory Alpha. What are you looking at?
Yeah.
Oh,
so how old is he?
Jesus Christ.
He was the captain for 22 years.
Oh, of course, because fucking Jack Crusher was killed under his command, wasn't he? That's the whole thing.
But did they make him like... So what? Was he captain at like 18?
But you have to remember as well that because of the health benefits of living in the future or whatever, then they might live to 150. So if he got his, he did the same job for 22 years, that's much more of a small fraction of his life, of his working life, than it would be to us now.
But he's 90. I think he's meant to be about 90 in Picard, and he's on the way out.
He is definitely on the way out, but he's on the way out because he has the Irumodic syndrome, not because he's old, right?
So this is set about roughly 20 years since the end of Nemesis, right?
Yeah.
So let's say he's 90-ish in this. Yep. Actually, how old is Picard in Picard?
He must have.
I don't know, for some reason I've picked up 93, and I don't know where I've got that from.
I thought 93 or 94. I would have said.
But I don't know where I've got that from. Like, I don't really know.
We can edit this out. This is interesting. Let's find out when Picard was born in Star Trek.
He was born on July the 13th in 2305.
2305, and it's currently 2399, so he is indeed 94.
Okay.
The Nemesis was set in 2379.
Okay, so at
he
that
was
point
75
he was
in Nemesis.
That's
sure,
amazing.
Whatever.
Yeah, so he's supposed to be 75 at that point in Nemesis, and he's driving his dune buggy around.
Yeah, and like how long was he meant to be? Like, when did he take command of the Enterprise?
Yeah, that information must be readily available.
Because he'll have a star date, won't he? Like,
yeah, exactly.
In the first episode, star date Tuesday.
Encounter at Farpoint is the first episode, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing I thought was weird in the first episode is they've got that banner from Captain Picard Day, and Picard hated that fucking thing.
Yeah, we were talking about the banner. That was really funny that it was in his like archive chamber.
Yeah, that was like on the D that got blown up. So
Yeah.
A, someone saved that banner, and then B, someone went down to the wreckage and pulled it out.
I love that episode where he's like, "I'm just not a role model to the children."
I just think they're little shitheads who should all die. What?
All right, so he
2364. I've got this.
You beat me to it. 2364.
In 2364, Picard was assigned command of a newly commissioned Galaxy-class starship, the USS Enterprise.
So 2364.
So he's what, 61 years old at the point.
Yeah.
So he served for 22 years. So he becomes commander around 39. Jesus Christ, that's a hell of a length of service in the same job role.
I'm also
maybe that's why he's so famous, because he's done it his whole life, isn't he?
I just really like.
Sorry. You're right. When you start thinking about this shit, it becomes mad.
Yeah, I'm looking up like his memory alpha thing, and you know, in Nemesis, there's that thing where they like, here's a picture of Picard when he's younger to make him look like Tom Hardy, but to make him look like that, they've just shaved his head.
Yep.
They've got around that by saying that's him after he'd lost a bet to shave his head. Not just because the Nemesis, you're like, we have no idea how to make his man look like Tom Hardy. We'll shave his head because they're both bald.
Well, because we've seen young Picard in TNG flashbacks where he has hair as a young man, right?
I'm looking at a picture right now of Picard in the early 2350s at Starbase 32, and it's clearly Patrick Stewart, and he's, a bald man, and they've stuck some hair on his. Right, he clearly looks like he's in his late 40s in this picture.
I think Patrick Stewart came out the womb 50. Like, he's an old ass looking man.
It's quite glorious.
But yeah, because there's that episode where like you see what could have happened, like when because he gets stabbed. He got stabbed or something when he was younger, and he's got like a fake heart.
Yeah, he gets stabbed in the back. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like shows him then, and he's got like a full head of hair.
Amazing.
So he graduated in 2327. So when was he born?
2305. 5.
So he graduates Starfleet Academy at 22-ish, 23. And then he took command of the Enterprise in 64.
He was a captain on Stargazer by the time he was 39, 40.
So he spent 15 years building up to the rank of captain. Fair enough. And then just was a captain for 22 years on a different ship before going on to the Enterprise. Fine, I guess.
Where he proceeded to do that again until he was 75.
And assumedly he was a captain for a little bit after Nemesis. Like, we don't know.
I guess so. I mean, when does he become an admiral?
Because a lot of the admiral, we see a lot of admirals in Star Trek, and none of them are that old.
No, indeed, none of them have had that length of service either. I'd wager.
Yeah, like the admiral in Deep Space Nine is about the same age as Cisco.
God, maybe Picard's really awful at his job.
I mean, his ship does seem to get into a lot of nonsense that nobody else has to put up with. He creates Moriarty. Like, no one else did that. No one else had to deal with, like, the baddie from Sherlock Holmes running around their ship getting into trouble.
Do you reckon he has, like, a little slider, and every time he, like, gets one on the way to, like, Admiral, like, he does something really fucking dumb? Or
it goes down again.
Yeah, it goes down again. Oh, that's amazing. Well, I mean, I'm glad we could check this out. This has given us a firm base moving forward for Star Trek.
He's really, really old.
He's so old. And he spent so long. He spent like half his life in the same job.
It's really weird because if he spent 22 years as commander of the Stargazer, and it's only ever mentioned in passing.
Yeah, that's so strange. How is that not like the breadth and width of his experience? He talks more about the vineyard. He can't have spent very long there.
Well, they do have that episode where they go back and find the wreck of the Stargazer, don't they? Which I quite like that.
Yeah, that's what I remember. That's why I liked the guy from the Stargazer being in this episode. I was like, oh, that's a nice, But 22 years. That's like the length of full military service in this country.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's the pension age, isn't it, for military service in the UK?
But yeah, so yeah, I'm excited for episode 3. Like you said, it was slow, but I feel like maybe you've got to, lay the foundations. It answered some questions. I'm excited.
Yeah, let's hope so.
I'm excited to get off the planet. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's what everybody's waiting for, isn't it? They want original Trek where you get Picard on the bridge and he's, saying engage, and there's a whole crew and they're all doing beep boop beep on little panels and stuff. We haven't had that yet.
Do you reckon his crew's going to be in uniform? Do you reckon it's going to be sort of like a laid back affair?
I reckon
Casual.
he hasn't got a uniform crew. They're going to be a ragtag bunch of misfits.
Yeah, they are. It's going to be like Firefly, isn't it?
And
They're all going to be quirky.
Yeah, and I reckon he's not going to be allowed to sit in the chair because the captain of the ship wants the chair. There's going to be a whole thing about it.
Oh yeah, that'll be it. He won't be the captain. He'll just be the.
Oh.
I'm happy to be demoted to
stowaway.
captain. No. Commander? No. Lieutenant Commander? No. What are you? You are bucket boy. You carry the bucket that I spit in. Oh,
Cadet Picard.
bucket boy, Picard, get the bucket.
It's like a powder monkey.
The captain's Odo, and he carries Odo's bucket around for him. And Odo just shapeshifts a head out of the bucket to give orders, and occasionally an arm to slap Picard.
It would be the best Star Trek I've ever watched. I hope it happens. Oh, perfect. Well, unless you guys have got any closing thoughts, I'm pretty happy with it.
I really need it to pick up soon because I'm enjoying it. Like, I like Star Trek, but I would like to see a spaceship zip around at some point, please.
Yeah,
Agreed.
And I have a
we can order
feeling
it needs to leave the atmosphere.
I feel
of
this episode and I feel they should have done an hour and a half and made 1 and 2 one episode.
like a mini film or something, definitely.
Yeah, I think that generally would make it flow better if it was less episodes, but episodes of a longer length. Yeah,
I'd have had less complaints as well because like so many of my questions in the episode 1 podcast were answered in this one that I'd have just been like, I now understand where the Federation's at.
Yeah, maybe that's the point. Not to keep you guessing.
Yeah. So well, on to episode 3.
Yep.
Sure. Thank you very much. We've been Check for Traps.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Ho ho!